Hey everyone, it's Nick. Today I have a Citizen Echo Drive 20th Anniversary Aqualand dive watch. And that is a mouthful, but this is a huge watch, so I guess that is appropriate. I'll show you what this looks like on my wrist. It's a big, heavy watch with pretty cool asymmetrical styling, I have to say. It's kind of James Bond meets 2001 Space Odyssey. But I think it works. I think they took some risks with this, and I think it worked out. I like it a lot. And it always gets a lot of, people are always like, hey, what's that watch you're wearing? So that's always fun. Oh, it's got a big, nice long strap too. Fits around a wetsuit, nice smooth rubber, feels like really high quality. So I'll take you on a little tour here. Zoom in a bit. So the buttons, mode button in the lower left, select button on the upper right. This is for setting times and things. Right side is pretty much scrolling and turning things on and off. Additionally, the top right button will light up the screen, and the lower right button will page through logs, through diving logs when you're in that mode. As far as the face goes, this is the depth gauge here, and when you're not underwater, it'll measure to 300 feet. When you're not underwater, it measures the charge in the battery. Here in the white zone, it's fully charged up, and I've never seen it with anything less than a full charge. It does a really good job of keeping itself all charged up. The red light here is a surfacing alarm, so if you surface too quickly when you're scuba diving, it'll go off and say, hey, slow down, you know, otherwise you'll get the bends or whatever. And you can see here it says divers 200. It's rated at 200 meters. That's different than water-resistant 200 meters, which is sort of more like snorkeling, but this is a serious diving watch. So here's the back of it. You can see there's the depth, the sensor for that. Yeah, so I'll take you through the screens. The first screen here is day date, and the S indicates daylight savings time. If I had just been diving with this watch, there would be another screen here that's called surface mode or something like that, and it'll be there for 24 hours after you complete a dive, and it'll show you dive time, maximum depth, the time that you surfaced, that kind of thing. But since I haven't learned how to scuba dive yet, I'd like to, but I haven't yet. So anyway, so this is the travel screen here, travel time, or second time zone, basically. This is showing Berlin, also with daylight savings time. Here's the first of 3 alarms. You can set these for any time zone in the world. And you know, you can use them as like, program your snooze times, you know, 8, 8:15, 8:30, or whatever. Here's a dive alarm. So you can set this for depth or for time. It'll warn you of either. Hands getting out of the way there. This is where the diving logs live. So date, time zone, surfacing time, depth, maximum depth, water temperature, and duration of dive. And this looks pretty impressive, 262 feet in 15 minutes, or 17 minutes. Yeah, I've never, like I said, I've never scuba dived, but that seems pretty amazing. In this screen, this is the reset screen. All the hands are going to 0, and you can tune the hands here. If the hands are like slightly out of phase with the time, you can tune them here to make sure they're perfectly zeroed. So that's nice. And then back to the day date screen. And there are the hands spinning around. I forgot to mention that the watch measures 47 millimeters across the case and 15 millimeters thick. Pretty huge. Also, if you're wondering what this watch is going to look like when you bang it up against the rocks when you're snorkeling or scuba diving, there you go. I've already done it for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. I was snorkeling with this, and the waves threw me up against the rocks, and I banged it pretty well. I'm surprised that it held up as well as it has. Here I scratched the crystal also, but pretty minimal considering. Okay, let's look a little bit more into some of the features, a little more in depth. Here's the travel time zone. One thing you can do here is hold the upper left and lower right buttons, and swap the time zones. So now my home time zone, LAX, is the travel time zone, and Berlin is my new home time zone. I'll switch it back. Another thing that you can do in the travel time zone area is set the daylight savings time. So to do that, I would hold this select button for 2 seconds. I get the settings screen, and then I can scroll through. Here's Madrid. Great. So I'll make this active for daylight savings time. There it is. Hit that again, and it goes out of the settings screen. Now you have to wait for the hands to move. If I want to do another city, for example, well, basically, once daylight savings time happens, it pretty much happens in a lot of time zones around the world, so you have to go through, and there's Cairo, I don't know if they do it, Athens, maybe, Moscow, okay, great. So I'll set daylight savings time again here, and then wait for the hands to move. And basically, by the time you go through and do every time zone in the world like this, waiting for the hands to move, daylight savings time is going to be over. You know what I mean? I mean, it just takes a while. It's just a little more annoying. I mean, it would be great if you could just hit this button, and instead of going out of the setting mode, it could just go back to blinking the city, so you could, click through and set the next one. But it doesn't do that. So that's a little annoying. But what are you going to do? Next thing, here are the alarms. Again, these are time zone related as well, which is cool. You can set it for any time zone in the world. The flip side, of course, is you don't want to try to get up at 8 a.m. and then realize that you set the watch to go off at 8 a.m. in like Istanbul, because that is not going to help you out. Here's the diving alarm. Again, hold the select button for 2 seconds once the hands stop moving. And there the depth meter is on. Turn it off, on. Or you can change the depth setting, say 35 feet, and change the dive time. It'll remind you of either dive time or depth. So there's that. This is where the logs live. What it'll do is record 20 logs, it'll record 20 logs, and then once you go over 20, it'll number them 21, 22, 23, but you'll only have the last 20 in the memory. The rest will get erased. When it goes into dive mode, it'll do so automatically by sensing the water in the gauge, and then it'll automatically convert into dive mode. When it does so, the orange hand will measure the time, elapsed time, which you can read on this inside bezel, and this will measure the depth in feet. So it's a little tightly spaced here. I'm sure most people aren't going to go below about 120 feet, so you're a little tightly spaced, but it'll tell you the depth on the screen, including other information like water temperature and that kind of thing. Next, I'll show you the nighttime illumination. Okay, here's nighttime illumination. You can see it's pretty, well, I mean, the video camera is exaggerating this a little bit, but it's a nice bright display. There's one more thing that I wanted to show you. It's got a light for the screen too. So there's that, nice and bright, and kind of cool the way it looks, like the way just the numbers light up. Pretty sweet. Anyway, just wanted to show you that as well. So there it is, the Citizen Echo Drive 20th Anniversary Aqualand Dive Watch. Quite a nice watch with an interesting look, despite its somewhat annoying interface. Next time what I'm going to do is set up a rig where I can show you how the depth gauge works, show you how it works in dive mode, and all of the sort of associated underwater features. So look for that next time, the next video I do. Alright, thanks for watching. Until then.